Hey, welcome back. This is episode 2. One of the things I've been sort of listening to over the last couple of days is a lot of success-based growth podcasts, and one of the things that keeps coming up is the phrase health, wealth, and relationships as sort of the pillars of success and success growth. And it's taken me a long time to be able to even hear, comprehend, or work towards any of those aspects individually. And several of them I still know I'm having trouble with. But I sort of made some major progress today, so it's sort of what got it in my head and sort of got me a little excited. It's been a long, hard road over the last, year and a half, as I sort of went through the transition from the family life that I had into the family life that I have now. Honestly, I guess it's been about 2.5 years, but a year and a half since it was legally binded, I suppose. And I get up in the morning. I guess the hardest thing I should step back. The hardest thing is the probably the wealth aspect of it. Typically, I've tried to stay relatively healthy, though I will say that has faltered in the last couple years. Relationships have definitely faltered in the last couple years. I do feel that I've got a good group of friends, people that I hang out with, and people that I can rely on. But relationships have definitely not been as abundant as I think they can be, and they will be in the future. But the thing that has been the biggest weight, the biggest source of anxiety in my life has been that financial aspect of things. I've always sort of managed to bring in a solid paycheck. I've always been able to provide for the family. And it's been a sort of centerpiece, a major pillar of my life, and sort of my goal and aspirations is to have that wealthy aspect of life. Now, it's not to say that I've ever wanted. Well, it's not to say that I've focused primarily on being like a millionaire, because not that. But I do strive towards a solid and stable financial base. And in the years prior to our divorce, we had actually ended up consumer debt free. We had no credit cards. We had no car payments. We had the mortgage of our house. We were in really good financial shape. Solid enough that we took the whole family, went on a European vacation over to Portugal for 2 weeks. It was fantastic. However, as our relationship fell apart, and especially after I left the house, and moving into the divorce, my financial stability really, I felt, crumbled a lot. And it wasn't so much that I didn't have the job, because I still was bringing in the same paycheck. It just was not going as far as it used to go. And that was really, really tough. You combine that with the legal fees that occurred over the course of the divorce, and those really hit hard. Then I ended up losing my job. So I ended up, being, unemployed and still being tied to the court-ordered alimony checks, the court ordered child support. Those were still things that I had to pay, and I felt obligated to pay, even though I was unemployed for a period of time. Um, so that level of stress was really high, um, and what I what I did to sort of overcome that is I developed, I sort of put together a plan, I'm going to do this. And I knew it would work. I knew it did work. It's worked in the past. So I just needed to put my mind there and focus on what I could do and how to do it, put the goal out there, set the plan up, put milestones up, and then shoot for those. I didn't shoot for the end. I shot for milestones along the way. First one was getting a job again, which I did. I was relatively quickly. It's not in the it's a solid paying job. It's a lot longer of a distance to get to, so there's some more financial cost there, but it's a stable job. It's something I enjoy doing, so I continue. And with that job, I number one focused on the house and putting back my life. So I managed to get furniture back. I managed to buy my some washer and dryers so that I wasn't going to the laundromat anymore. Some of the necessities or I suppose luxuries of life that at some point in time I had determined that were luxuries, and got those back. I then started hitting the consumer debt that I had to take out to pay the lawyers. So that started to get hit off, and then what I did was I booked a trip. I got with a friend, and we put a marker on the calendar. It's coming up now, so it's going to be hitting here soon, for a trip, and that's it's a trip for me, and a trip for me to sort of like get out of my daily grind, and relax a little bit. But with that trip, what I did was I turned around and said, okay, I've got these two bills that I need to pay, and they need to be gone by the time that I go on the trip. It's not everything. I still, there's still another bill to pay. Actually, there's two bills to pay. One family loan, and then another bill. But the two that I focused on were the emotional ones. Those were the ones that I had tied exclusively to the divorce. I had opened them up, those credit cards, purely to pay the lawyers. So I basically said, before I go on the trip, those need to be paid off. And then I ran into a hiccup. I ran over Christmas. We had to get, we had some lawyer trouble again, and that put me back a little bit. And I had basically resolved myself that wasn't going to happen. But I had still focused on it. It was going to happen to the best of my ability, and I would just deal with it as it came. Because life goes on, and if you can't meet the goal, you meet it as best as you can. You just keep going towards it. Unfortunately, the trip was booked. It's not like that was movable. And then tax refund. And one of the things that I had known all along, I had sort of left it to the back of my mind. I didn't know what impact it would have, but one of the keys is that alimony is a tax deduction. So that's something that you can't account for when you're setting up your tax sheet, not completely anyway. So the refund was more than I had planned. And those credit cards were paid off. So promise kept, because I'm ahead of the curve. I'm before the trip, and it was just really nice for me to sort of sign those credit card payments off and get those tagged out. So I've got more to do in the future, but set up a plan. I worked hard towards it and drove, and we're where we are. Um, so the success is coming along. I see the wealth isn't where I want it to be. It's not where it's going to be. I know that, and all I can do is trust myself in pushing that forward. But on the flip side, I've also started focusing on my health again. I know what I need. I know what I want. I'm trying to drive the kids more and more towards that. Cutting down on some of the extras, and sticking with only going to McDonald's every once in a blue moon rather than once or twice a week like we were, and getting back to the gym. I hope to get running again soon. And then with the relationship side of things, I'm trying to reach out. I've always tried to be pushing my boundaries, but those I'm trying to work on. So this is now running a bit long, and I'm rambling a whole lot again. But I was thrilled that today I got to sort of sign that off, and I thought I'd share. Anyway, be sure to check out our website, stilldaddy.net, or on Facebook and Twitter at stilldaddy4u. We'll catch you on the next episode. Have a good one. Night.